Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to talk a little bit about comfort food today. Now, most of the time when we hear the word comfort food, or I do, when I hear the word comfort food, it kind of has a bad connotation with it because that's what mostly we're talking about. Most people, I think, when they're talking about comfort food, we're talking about something that's definitely not optimal, definitely not on our regular way of eating. A lot of times it's actually going way off the rails when we talk about comfort food. But comfort food is, people use food for comfort. Probably unless you become a robot, I strive for that. I try to be more logical like Spock and not have too much emotion. But unless we become robots, we're probably always going to be in the mood, or we're probably going to always have situations, or even just our body is going to ask us for some comfort food. So instead of fighting our bodies all the time, why not problem solve? I've talked about that in videos before. To me, and this is kind of a personal philosophy in life, that life is mostly about problem solving, just, and little quick fixes. It's nothing huge. So this is why it's key. Going into this talk, I'm going to say this is why it's key to be able to play in the kitchen, to get to know your food, to get to know how to create food for yourself. Because I have my comfort foods. I'm like everybody else. Everybody probably has comfort foods, but I don't have to really feel guilty when I eat my comfort foods. My comfort foods, I think of a few comfort foods I have, and while they have some fat in them, they're not like off the rails high fat. In fact, that I'll tell you, a very good example is that mango coconut curry that I shared, like a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks ago. That one hit me. I may be more pleased with that recipe than any other recipe that I've kind of put together, come up with, taken from somebody else and made it my own. That recipe I really like. Sometimes, I don't have time to get all the ingredients, but that one I could pretty much eat every night. And the amount of coconut in there, I can't tell you exactly how many calories or what percentage fat, blah, 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 but not that bad. And I'll tell you, you could even offer me something much fattier, and I would still choose this because that's just good. I have a couple of things like that if I'm just for whatever reason, maybe if I'm zinging a little too hard from all the fruit I've been having and I just I feel like coming down a little bit. I've got that, God, I forget it's like the basil, lime, mango that I do on zoodles or on a salad dressing. And, well, without like trying to tax my brain right now, I've got several that are my kind of go-to, what I consider comfort food, but they're not, like I say, they're not what normal people would consider comfort food, because it's not like I'm going off the rails or going too high on my fat. That's normally it for me. Like there's not, anything I'm eating, like I try to keep my fat fairly low, but I try not to be a fanatic on that. So there are, I'm kind of different than most people on that. I'm not, all the time preaching low fat, although I do go pretty low most of the time. So since I do that, there's just such a nice zen, such a nice balance. Since I do extremely low fat, a lot of times not adding overt fats, I would say on an average month, just to ballpark it, on an average month, there's probably half the days of the month at least that I don't add overt fats. So when it swings the other way and my body says, hey, we want some fat tonight, we want that little creamier dressing or meal or whatever, I give it to myself. And this has worked for me because, like I say, there's no more, listen, don't want to be like this to sound as I'm listening to myself. I don't want it to sound like I'm perfect, I don't have this, but I don't have cravings much anymore. The things, I've learned how to satisfy my cravings with acceptable choices, with healthy items. So I can pretty much, even if I get, my emotions aren't terribly tied to my food. I'm not one of those people, well, number one, I don't ever stress or worry. I just won't let that happen. But even if I'm a little down or a little off or whatever, my emotions aren't terribly tied to food and they don't cry out for anything bad. It's usually just kind of when I'm a little tired. Maybe I'm tired, a little, I've exerted myself more than I should during the week. I've been running around or whatever, that I just feel like, letting go and having something a little bit, a little bit more oriented on taste, because I can get on these kicks where it's just like kind of just like powering through, going through the motions, just eating to eat good stuff to put it into my body. Not every day is about taste. I just it's not, that's not at the forefront of my life. I enjoy it. I used to say that even before way before I came to this lifestyle, even during periods when I wasn't eating that good. I was like, I'm just not going to make that big a deal out of food. It's something that we're going to eat every day until they put us in the ground. So, I kind of have, even though I've eaten bad at times, I have put food in its place and looked at it as fuel. But do the work. Do the work. I come back to this theme from time to time. Do the work. Trial and error. In the early stages of this, and I see people kind of, I watch people and I watch their methods. I watch people that are struggling on this lifestyle. I watch people that are struggling on this lifestyle that somehow figure it out and make it through the other side. And that's what you do have to do. I can't stress that anymore. You have to learn your way around the kitchen. You have to learn how to make food for yourself. You have to learn, like, if I have this taste for something salty, what can I do to satisfy that salty taste? If I have a taste for something fatty or creamy, or what tricks can I do? What things can I use to not go totally off the rails and have like super fat meal, or use a bunch of ingredients that aren't great for your body, and how to do this in a healthy way. Listen, if you were to go back through my videos and watch the progression of my journey here, and not to say that I've got great kitchen skills now, but I think you will see a different evolution if you go back over, I guess I'm coming up on, I think June will be about 3 years since my first video. And a little bit after that, I started, doing regular videos. But I think you'll see an evolution, and that's all you've got to do. You've got to work at this lifestyle in the beginning to figure it out, because you've never eaten like this before. Eating is a huge part of our life. It sustains us, but it's also become ingrained in our culture, and it's been a part of our life in a lot of different aspects since the beginning. So in a way, you're trying to unthink a lot of ideas, you're trying to rethink a lot of ideas, and you're trying to just learn a whole different pattern of thinking when it comes to food. So I would say that this is a huge tip. If you can, go to the kitchen tomorrow, whenever you watch this video, the first chance you get to get into your kitchen and play around a little bit, do it. Go to your grocery store, your markets, get ingredients, get a bunch of different stuff, play, experiment, see what you can create in the kitchen. See what you can create in the kitchen that's good for you if you have a salty craving, fat craving. Sweet, we're pretty much taken care of because we're eating a lot of fruit and getting that sugar all the time. But maybe you do need to learn maybe you do need a couple of little dessert recipes. If you can keep them minimally damaging to the body, not putting a lot of garbage in there. But you see what I'm getting at. And try to progress. Maybe right now, maybe you come up with some comfort food, or maybe your comfort food right now reflects where you are in your journey. Your comfort food is not as clean as my comfort food because I'm a little bit further down the line. But you will see, and if you keep this mentality in your head, you can keep cleaning your comfort food up, depending on where you are and how your body has adapted to a high-carb vegan lifestyle, a raw vegan lifestyle. And just keep moving along. That's happened for me. Like, my comfort food used to be different a year ago, 2 years ago. My comfort food probably had a few sketchy ingredients in it. It definitely had comfort food definitely meant higher fat. comfort food meant nuts back then. Like, that's just disappeared. That's no conscious decision I've made. Like, I used to allot myself every once in a while, like on a Saturday night or a Friday night or something, you know, I'm laying around in bed watching videos or watching a movie or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, I haven't done this in a while, and I'd eat a bag of nuts. I'd eat way more nuts than you should really eat in a sitting. Now, even if I have nuts around, I don't have any inclination to do that. So I'll eat a couple, you know, I'll eat a few just to satisfy and get the taste of the nut, which I enjoy. But yeah, that's disappeared, and yours probably will too. Your comfort food will get cleaner and cleaner, but think from that mentality, and I'm going to leave you with that. And not just keep repeating myself, but just think about that. Start creating yourself, you know, especially if you're one of those that talks about emotional eating and have the comfort foods and what have you. Start thinking in that direction. Start thinking of how you can replace some of those not so good comfort foods with some comfort foods that really aren't that bad and that you don't really have to be guilty for indulging in. Anyhow, I hope this helped a little bit, maybe gives you a tip to think about. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you're having a wonderful week. I love you guys. Peace.